Ever wanted to learn about unused game assets for Animal Crossing that came from one of the biggest data leaks in video game history? Find out in Animal Crossing Gigaleak, Game Facts Special. Spaceworld 2000 title screen. Spaceworld 2000 is a Japanese event that showcased an enormous amount of Nintendo games. Some of the games featured at that event had assets leaked in Nintendo Gigaleak. One of those games was Dobutsu no Mori, which translates to Animal Forest, but the series is known as Animal Crossing in the United States. Any future reference to Dobutsu no Mori will be referred to as Animal Forest in this episode. Animal Forest for Nintendo 64 had a different title screen in the Spaceworld 2000 demo. The original title screen did not feature the main playable character moving around. Instead, it's just a static shot of the 4 main houses in the game. The name of the game in the title screen is green in the demo, whereas it's yellow in the final version of Animal Forest for Nintendo 64. The push start button text in the demo is bright red with a bright yellow outer glow. It was replaced with text that said press start button. The text in the demo capitalized every letter of the start button statement, whereas only 3 letters are capitalized in the final version. The text about the start button was also changed from red to orange in the final version of Animal Forest for Nintendo 64. The orange text went with a dark stroke instead of a bright yellow outer glow. From a design standpoint, this change to the text made it more readable to viewers with better color contrast. It's possible game developers initially went with red text instead of orange text because red and green are complementary colors. Since the final game logo is yellow instead of green, they might have went with orange text for the start button statement, because orange and yellow are analogous colors. Not only was the copyright date changed from 2000 in the demo to 2001 in the final game, but the text was changed from white with a black stroke to gray with a black stroke in a different font. The Copyright 2000 Nintendo text color and font is similar to how the Nintendo Spaceworld 2000 text looked like in the demo. Non-Playable Characters. A lot of information leaked about the original Nintendo 64 version of Animal Forest. This includes non-playable characters that never appeared in officially released Animal Crossing games. One of those characters was called Cat 13 in the game files. Gamers figured out how to mod Nintendo GameCube versions of Animal Crossing to include this leaked character, using the leaked game data from the Nintendo 64 version. One mod has Cat 13 named as Catty. Another unused villager went by B3, which was intended to be a bear villager. There is so little data about this unused villager that we might never get to know what this bear was intended to look like. While the July 2020 Nintendo leak revealed a couple of unused villagers, it also revealed 2 characters that were scrapped for the Nintendo 64 version of Animal Forest. This includes Wisp and Blathers. These characters did not make their first appearance in the series until the Nintendo GameCube version of Animal Crossing. Their scrapped character designs for the Nintendo 64 look very different from how they look in the GameCube version. There were also some human characters who do not fit the art direction of the game. These human characters include soldiers and a fat woman carrying an invisible item. Human non-playable characters were probably scrapped from an early era of the game's development, when the gameplay was intended for a different genre. Animal Forest for Nintendo 64 was initially going to be a dungeon-crawling role-playing game. Unused inventory items. Some of the unused inventory icons might have originated from when the game was going to have a bigger focus on combat. For example, one of the unused items was a sickle. The Cutting Room Floor's website describes it as, quote, likely the icon for the unused sickle handheld item found in the data for Animal Crossing. The use of the word likely indicates speculation. For all we know, maybe there was a point in the game's development where the sickle could be used as a weapon. Or maybe it had an entirely different purpose. We will never know. There are an enormous amount of unused items that were discovered through Nintendo Gigaleak. One of those items was titled Ueki. The icon for that item looks similar to a plant. There was also an icon titled Seed, which was speculated to be the, quote, original flower seed icon for the game. There was also an item called Nae, which translates to seedling. Similar to the unused seed icon, this is likely an unused sprite that was intended for an item that made it into the game. The Cutting Room Floor speculates it was the original sapling icon. That website includes images of these icons, which can be found in the references section of the description of this video. We include references in the description of every episode of GameFAQs Special, so you can check out what we found. Yeah, accountability for our sources. Another unused inventory item was called nuts. According to the cutting room floor, it was an early fruit item based on a chestnut, and it was replaced with the cherry in the final game. Considering how cherry trees have been an iconic part of the Animal Crossing series since its beginning, it's amazing to think we almost got chestnut trees instead of cherry trees in the original game. Cherry trees were even featured in the box art to Animal Crossing Wild World for the Nintendo DS. One feature added to later entries of the Animal Crossing series was the inclusion of medicine. This was a very useful item for when players got stung by a bee or when villagers in your town got sick. We also got medicine in the original Animal Forest game for Nintendo 64, which was titled Kusuri. This item did not debut in the series until Animal Forest E+. That Animal Crossing game is an enhanced version of Animal Crossing for Nintendo GameCube. It released as a Japan-exclusive title in 2003. One of the most iconic aspects to the Animal Crossing series is the ability to place furniture in your home. While a lot of these items are shaped like a leaf in the inventory menu, the original furniture icon that was discovered through Nintendo Gigaleak was shaped like a cabinet in the sprite. The original carpet icon for carpets and wall icon for wallpaper also look different compared to how these look in the final game. The original stationary item also looked different in the leaks. It was called Beansen. According to the cutting room floor, Beansen means paper or stationery. One item titled Fuku 2 showed a shirt. Fuku is clothes in Japanese, and it was probably the original clothing icon for the game. One of the scrapped items was called Cloth. It's speculated that this cloth was intended for custom designs. The original Animal Crossing game for Nintendo 64 did not feature the Able Sisters, who were characters in the GameCube version that allowed characters to create custom designs. So it's likely that the original game intended for players to be able to create custom designs, but that feature was scrapped and not included in an Animal Crossing game until the American GameCube version released in 2002. This feature might have been scrapped due to hardware limitations of the Nintendo 64. There are some items in the original Animal Crossing for Nintendo 64 that can be acquired for completing quests. For example, if you complete the quests for the handkerchief, glasses case, or camera, you get items that cannot be sold. If the villager who gave you the item chose to move away, you can get rid of these items at the wishing well by selecting Apologize. That implies throwing away one of their gifts is a way to apologize to villagers who left your town? That is confusing, but these items initially had different sprites. The handkerchief was going to be a CD, and the camera was going to be a guitar. The glasses case was called mcgen, which means eyeglasses in Japan. So instead of a glasses case, players were going to be given eyeglasses for that quest. Another unused sprite for a feature that might have made it into the final game was the mini disc. It's speculated that KK Slider Tunes initially used this icon instead of a music note like in most Animal Crossing games. Mini discs were more popular in Japan compared to the United States, so that might be why items featuring his songs were initially stored on mini discs. At least, that's the speculation listed on the cutting room floor. The weird thing about making a video about unused game content is when game data gets leaked, sometimes people have to speculate what the purpose of that unused game content was. Sometimes people's speculation is not 100% accurate to what the game developers envisioned for their game. This has been a Game Speculation Special. One of the most well-known items in the Animal Crossing series is the fishing rod. In the original game for Nintendo 64, the fishing rod icon was going to be given a different sprite. The name of the item was called Turi in the leaked game data. Speaking of fishing, 3 different fish icons leaked as well. 2 of the icons were called Ayu, and one of the icons was called Ayu 2. There was also an icon called Pet, which the cutting room floor describes as fished trash. The website also mentions that PET refers to the common abbreviation of polyethylene terephthalate. If you're confused by what that means, the website also states that is the type of plastic used in disposable water bottles. In most Animal Crossing games, it's common for gamers to find a tire as trash from the sea instead of plastic bottles. It's possible that game developers realized a large, bulky item like a tire is more likely to indicate to gamers, this does not belong in the water. The sea belongs to fish, not tires. Don't pollute the sea with trash, it makes you kinda low class. The last unused inventory item that will be covered in this video is the mushikago, which means insect cage in Japanese. In the final version of the game, insects were given their own unique icon instead of a generic cage. There was also an icon of the cage in the final version of the game with a different design of the cage. In the Nintendo GameCube version, for example, the cage is mostly glass with a green top, whereas this unused sprite is mostly yellow with white lines to symbolize cage bars for the bugs. One item not found in Nintendo Gigaleak is the subscribe button. You should click it. Unused Rooms. The original Animal Forest for Nintendo 64 had unused rooms that were discovered as part of Nintendo Gigaleak. One of these rooms was a test room. It featured an early version of the tatami floor. While there are differences in the floor pattern compared to the final game, tatami is a floor pattern that has been included in a lot of Animal Crossing games. This including recent games like Animal Crossing New Leaf and Animal Crossing New Horizons. The wallpaper for the test room, on the other hand, is not featured in the final game. An early version of Nook's Cranny leaked as well. Not only is the wallpaper and floor pattern different, but it's a lot darker. Unused NES games. One aspect of the Animal Crossing series that was present in the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo GameCube versions, but scrapped in future installments, was the inclusion of Nintendo Entertainment System games. The emulator for the Nintendo Entertainment System in Animal Forest had references to a wide variety of third-party games that were not in the final game. This includes third-party titles like Arkanoid and F1 Circus, but it also references an unlicensed port of Tekken 2 for NES? What the? That was a game made by Hummer Team, which was a game development company known for making unlicensed ports of famous games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Some of these unlicensed ports were not respectful to the source material. If you ever wanted to learn about a game developer who cares about making quality licensed games, you should check out Marvel's Spider-Man Game Facts Special. Insomniac Games cares way more about the quality of their licensed games compared to the amount of effort Hummer Team put into their unlicensed games. Make sure to check out our episodes on Mario Gigaleak finds and Zelda Gigaleak finds. Thanks for watching. This has been a Game Facts Special.